Bula children, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Tarisi Bunindilo and I'm connecting in from Hilo in Hawaii. I will be doing a series of Talanoa with you on the topic of volcanoes. So this one is part 1 and I hope that you will enjoy it. I would like to take this time to think of our brothers and sisters in the Kingdom of Tonga, particularly the children over there, and I'm dedicating this series to them and hope that they can be able to watch this video at some point as well, and we can all learn together in learning about these phenomena that many of us are usually not familiar with. And so I hope that these lessons will be very simple for you to understand and to follow and to appreciate our environment. So the main question that many of us children ask is, what is a volcano? Have you asked that question before? Yeah, I used to ask that too. Now the volcano is a landform, usually a mountain, where molten rocks explodes through the surface of the earth. Now the molten rock usually come through that magma chamber that you can see in this picture. Okay, so remember that word magma. Say it again, magma. And the chamber, it's like a room where all these heated rocks are there. They're all melting, but they're very hot. But in simple terms, volcano is a mountain that opens downwards into this pool of magma below the surface of the earth. And in many times people say that it is a hole on the earth in which the molten rock and gas erupt. Okay, so you can see in this picture the ash cloud, what comes out when the magma explodes. And you can also see on the right hand side is what we call the ash fall. So these are the rocks and things that come out as part of the explosion. Okay, and in many times it's poisonous, and things that comes out too are acidic. So we have to be very careful to move away as much as we can when there's a volcano or anything that you experience in the future. There are 4 types of volcanoes, children: cinder, cones, composite volcano, shield volcanoes, and lava dome volcanoes. And these are the 4 types that you find on top of the earth. So you can see in the picture the magma again. Can you see the magma? Okay, so it's trying to explode out of the top of the mountain, but it's following through a vent. And also the word lava. So when it comes out, it's magma, but as soon as it comes out of the volcano and it's hard or flowy or gummy looking, it's lava and it turns into rocks. But the one that is taking place in Tonga, that is exploding over the last couple of days and maybe in the future, is a submarine volcano. That's the one that is in Tonga and Hunga Pai. Now the submarine volcanoes consist of underwater vents, okay, as you can see here in the picture. The same thing that happens on the surface of the earth, the same thing that happens under the sea, because the magma is trying to come out and explode. And you can see here that many submarine volcanoes are located near tectonic plate formations. We talked about it in my previous video. And sometimes they're also known as mid-ocean ridges. Okay, so hopefully this is a drawing that we can look at that exactly resembles the 2 islands that was there in Tonga, Hunga Hapai and Hunga Tonga. So this is how the explosion took place. Now below the ocean, this is what you see. We don't see it when we are sailing on the boat, right? Or when we're swimming. But below the ocean, there are so many volcanoes that are active and they're all underwater. But when they come out of the ocean, they become volcanoes as what we see today, or the submarine volcano that exploded in Tonga. But others that explode beneath the ocean, remember you can also see the pumice that floats around. Yeah, those are the lava that solidified below the ocean. What causes a volcano? In my previous video, I was talking about tectonic plate tectonics. Remember the different plates? In the Pacific, we have the Pacific plate and the Australian plate. So when these two plates move, usually the thin one gets pulled under. Okay, the thicker continental plate is the one that pulls it under. And then the magma chamber, again, it builds up. Yeah, builds up for it to explode. And what you see is a volcanic eruption. Okay, and I've got another picture here that explains why volcanoes erupt. There you go. Can you see the magma? Okay, so the magma, again, trying to come out from where it is below the ocean, or one of those ridges, one of those vents, and it's trying to push the crust, which is the surface of the earth, and then tries to come out, finding somewhere just to release its power and its strength and the heat that it brings. Okay, and that's exactly what happened in Tonga. It is an underwater volcano or a submarine volcano. And now, what happened in relation to the tsunami? But before we talk about the tsunami, let's look at what's inside a volcano. Remember, I used the word chamber? Okay, the chamber is like a room where all this magma, like liquid form, they all stay there and they float around, but they're very, very hot. And pressure starts building and building and building, and they start to move through these vents and channels in the rocks, trying to escape onto the surface of the earth, and then it explodes out. And that's what we see. That's what we also saw in Tonga. And when it comes out, it's called lava. Okay? And we see the lava flow, and when it hardens, it turns into lava rocks. Now, when it comes to the tsunami, this is what happens. You can see them in the picture. Okay? So there's an eruption underneath, there's a blast, and there's a flow that comes out of the opening on the surface, and then the caldera collapse, you can see there. And the eruption continues, but there's something about the water. So remember the plates I was talking about? So sometimes when the plates pull and push each other, it actually absorbed or sucked the water right in. Okay? That's one way that the tsunami happens. And then when it goes right to the bottom of the earth, it comes out again in full force. And when it comes out with so much speed and strength, and it's very loud, and it can be very, very scary. So whenever you see the water retreating out of the coast, you have to run to the mountains or run to a higher space so that you can be saved. Okay? Call your family, your dog, or anything that you have and take them with you, because the tsunami can come back and it can be very, very disastrous. The other way that the tsunami also takes place, because of the amount of volume of materials that the volcano pushes up, and it puts pressure on the ocean, and then it moves and shifts the way the ocean flows. So that's why a lot of the water increases in volume and moves at huge speed. Okay, so in my next video I will be talking about earthquakes and tsunami. So I will leave it here for now, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Today I'm going to show you some pictures from the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. They took these pictures in 2015 when the Hunga-Apai, Hunga-Tonga islands were having earthquakes, and they were taking pictures, and then there was some explosions. And these are some pictures that they shared. So I'm sharing it with you. And this exemplified exactly what we were talking about. So this is the explosions coming through from the bottom of the ocean. And you can see the shape of the submarine volcano. Okay? Beautiful pictures from Hunga-Apai and Hunga-Tonga. And credit to the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. And these are some of the remnants of what happened after the 2014-2015 eruption. And a new island was formed. Okay, so what we're talking about today is that through these explosions and through these eruptions, new islands can be formed. All of these things were below the ocean, but now they're above the sea. So now we have a brand new island. Not only humans look for places to live, birds as well. Yeah, so here are some eggs that belongs to some birds that were nesting on this island. And thanks to the Smithsonian Museum staff who took pictures of this, as before trees start to grow or before humans move in to live on this island, you have the birds that try to come and nest on these islands. And that's how many of these islands were formed. Vinaka, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for listening to my short presentation, and again acknowledging the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. for their pictures and some information that I was able to gather, also through Google Photos and Wikipedia for some very simple information that I can share with you. Vinaka for listening to my presentation, and I wish you all the very best, and take care. Ni Samoa de Manda.